Mahina. Yan. Okay, continuation. Azure Database Services. So Azure has a lot of databases being offered. These are just a few of our database service offerings, no, sa Azure. So first, Cosmos database. ACD or Azure Cosmos Database is a globally distributed database service that elastically and independently scales throughput, and storage. So when you say globally distributed database service, it exists in many regions. So this will be available whether Asian, US, Australia, UK. So it's available and independently scales throughput. So meron siyang feature na highly scalable, which means if the content of the database is not enough for that current storage database, it will automatically provision another storage for it. Okay, auto expand, auto scale, and highly available, and can be HA to different region pairing. So very flexible siya. So ang keyword dito when someone asks you sa examination, so what is Cosmos? No? Ito yung keyword, globally distributed. So far, siya lang yung globally distributed database service among the database service ng Azure. Okay? SQL database is a relational database as a service, DAS. Okay, based on the latest stable version of SQL, Microsoft license version. So this is the license version ng Microsoft. Okay, and can be offered as database as a service. Meaning, you can have a multiple tenant. Maraming nagli-lease sa single database. No? So, pag chinek mo yung database, could be multiple records. Could be CRM1, CRM2, CRM3, CRM4. Okay, kasi this can be hosted as a service. Okay. Next one is a database for MySQL. So when you say MySQL, it's an open source, not Microsoft. Okay. MySQL is a fully managed MySQL database service for app developers. Let's say Facebook was developed in PHP. Yung backend ng Facebook, they're using MySQL open source. No? So doon kinoconnect yung mga users, group permission settings, data, and data about the data, which is the metadata. Okay, so when you say metadata, data about the data. So MySQL yun. Okay. Azure database for PostgreSQL is a relational database service as well, based on the open source Postgres database engine. So this is another open source example, same with MySQL. So dalawa yung relational database nila. No? First is SQL, okay, Azure SQL database, which is hosted in Microsoft. Okay. Next one is the open source, which is the PostgreSQL. Okay. So, asan yung open source dito? Yung MySQL and Postgres. Yung Microsoft SQL is a licensed version. I mean, Microsoft version that you need to purchase another license na kung i-on-prem siya. Azure SQL instance or managed instance. Managed instance allows existing SQL Server customers to lift and shift their on-prem application to the cloud with minimal application and database change. So when you say lift and shift, this is short for migration from open source, from on-prem to the cloud. Let's say you have an existing Microsoft SQL database data center ninyo, nasa opisina ninyo, okay, and you would like to migrate sa cloud. No? So SQL Server can be accepted, no? Using so how do you export your database? So probably export nyo lang using CSV. No, lahat ng data is in comma separated value. And then export mo sa create a SQL database sa cloud and then import yung CSV na in-export nyo previously from on-prem, no? Hindi lang CSV, marami pang format, XML format, pwede rin, no? So let's say sa data center nyo, export nyo yung database in an XML format kung NoSQL, and then go to the cloud, create a database, import. Okay? So dito, you're using database right away without a server. Okay, so that's why it's called DAS. You're using database as a service. Clear ba yun? Clear? Any question? SQL Managed Instance is a fully managed and evergreen platform as a service. So meaning Azure will be the one to manage this one. And clean and green na tinatawag namin. So clean and green, always healthy, highly performing, highly elastic, and highly scalable. Okay, alam niyo yung meaning highly scalable, di ba? Highly available. So highly available when one node fails, it will fail over to the next node. Ganun lang siya. No? SQL Managed Instance preserves all platform as a service capabilities. No? Meaning, meron na siyang automatic patching. So let's say meron kayong SQL sa on-prem ninyo. Di ba nagpa-patch pa kayo nun? So you need to raise a ticket, approve the ticket, tapos yung database nyo, we need to shut down database, and papatch natin to the latest hotfixes, latest service pack, and latest update. Di ba? Ang trabaho nun eh. Daming trabaho eh. And version updates and automated backup. So, magba-backup pa kayo, di ba? Kailangan backupan muna natin SQL or we have to take a snapshot before the actual backup kasi if na-corrupt yung database, anong gagawin nyo? Di ba? You have to restore back. No? Dito, hindi na. No? Azure will be the one to manage the SQL. So that's why it's called SQL Managed Instance. So that means hindi na kayo magba-backup. Wala nang SQL patching. Wala nang upgrade. It's up to them. Okay? Next one, SQL Managed Instance, exchange existing licenses for discounted rates on SQL Managed Instance using the Azure Hybrid benefit. So if you have an existing license, a SQL that you purchase, you can encode this license to the SQL. That's why then it will lessen the expenses kasi you're not renting the license of SQL anymore. Okay, gagamitin mo yung sarili mong license. Pwede rin yun. No? Okay, walk through, create a SQL database. So for some people who would like to perform this one, no? Kung gusto nyo lang, you can perform this one. So dito, it will make more sense pag ginawa nyo to. Okay? So gagawa tayo ng database natin and then query natin yung database na yan. No? So gagawa tayo ng database, then query natin yung database. So ito na, demo. Ready na ba lahat? Ready na. I would encourage everyone na pumunta sa database. Ito yung database, no? Blades, SQL database. Yan. Sige, sabay-sabay tayo. So, I'm hoping lahat mag-perform ng lab. May question. Fernando Gaspar. Hi, sir. Pa-admin na lang po ulit. Anong pa-admin? O pa-add? Fernando Gaspar. Dali Fernando.
Okay na yan, sir.
Na-add na kayo?
Nagpapa-admit admit ulit.
Admit kanina. Si
Typo lang, sorry.
Israel. Added na kita. Na-add na kita, Israel.
Okay na, sir.
Okay na? Okay. Yan, okay lang yan. Okay, so dito gagawa tayong database. I'm hoping lahat. Oy, may naiiwan si Celestino. Ayan, ngayon ko lang na-admit. 23. Ba't naging 23 tayo? May humabol. Sir Celestino. Humabol kayo, sir? Wala eh. Okay, so may nag-add sa akin. Bakit? Okay, so we're gonna create our database. Ito, create button. Sabay-sabay tayo lahat, ha? Create. Just click the create. Sa subscription, whatever subscription you have, select the same resource group, and then database name, sabihin natin DB last name. Okay, so valid siya. DB Cruz, no? DB dash your last name. And then servers, select a create new server. Server name, DB Cruz, database server Cruz 1. Okay, tingnan natin kung ano. validated. So the way you're gonna access is db server -plus1.database.windows.net. Okay, hosted in US East, and then you have to create your own admin. So I would suggest the same one, Nexus admin, and then the same password. Sabay-sabay tayo, create tayo lahat ng database. Mabilis lang naman to. Yun lang, yun lang. Okay, may naiwan ba? May naiwan? Wala. Okay. Oy, password na naman. Nako, very strict siya. The password, this is database login. So, dbadmin. Okay, para iba sa password. Okay, dbadmin. This is the admin password sa database. Take note, the dbadmin. Okay? So, this is the database administrator account or the SA account na tinatawag sa Microsoft SQL. Okay, so want to use SQL Elastic Pool. So ano ba yung SQL Elastic? Elastic Pool provide a simple and cost-effective solution for managing the performance of multiple database in a fixed budget. So Elastic Pool, in short, you can create multiple database in a single pool. No? So for demo's sake, no, the compute storage you would like to use. Meron tayong 10 DTU and a storage of 250 gigabyte. Malaki na yan. No, 250 gigabyte. For demo, malaki. Pero for production, syempre hindi. If you want more, configure database. No? Pero hindi ko nasa-select yan. Now, ito, as I mentioned a while ago, review tayo. Ano ba yung geo-redundant? Anybody? Geo-redundant.
Separate 300 miles.
Yeah, kailangan 300 miles, different regions, separated by 300 miles. No, geo, parang location na yan, ng geological location. ZRS, anybody? ZRS. ZRS, zone redundant. Ayun yung keyword sa exam. So ano yung ZRS? Ito yung keyword, zone.
Same region tapos multiple data center.
Hindi, pag sinabing zone, availability zone.
Okay.
Yun ibig sabihin. So isang AZ, multiple data center. Availability zone. No? 3 copy na yan. No? Pag local naman, ilang kopya tong database natin? Ilang kopya to? Locally redundant.
3.
Tama, 3. No? Pero, same data center lang. Or same rack. Same rack to. No? Same rack. 3 kopya. Which means, if the first copy is corrupted, hindi mo na problema yan. Azure will assure you na it is 99% resilient, no? Bad sector, wala na 'yon, hindi na uso yung mga bad sector, corrupted, hindi na. They can restore this one for you. Okay? Okay, next one, redundant network connectivity. So dito, choose an option for configuring. Would you like this one to be available publicly? Diba? Yun ang tanong niyan. Publicly? Connectivity public? Yes, for demo's sake lang. Pero if this is private, no, as much as possible, no access. Kasi in reality, the way you design the database, back-end lang siya. Hindi siya exposed sa internet. Okay? Meaning, sitting on different subnet. Remember kanina, we have a 10.2 subnet. Okay? Ideally, ang database wala sa 10.2, hindi mo isasama. Gagawa kang sarili pang subnet, 10.3. Tapos yung 10.2 subnet will communicate sa 10.3. Paano magagawin yun? Routing service na. Okay? So ideally, no access ang database. No? Pero gusto ko i-access sa public for demo's sake. So connectivity method will be public. So we can access publicly. Okay? Next one is firewall rule. Allow Azure service and resource to access server. Yes. Kasi access natin publicly. Add current client IP, no? No, kasi may additional charge yan. So single IP will be enough. Okay. And then, ano pa ba? TLS. Actually, ito question TLS 1.2. If you're using TLS 1.1, you won't be able to communicate to this database. So ano yung TLS? Ito yung TLS. Let's say you purchase something sa Amazon or sa eBay. Sa eBay. Ang standard communication protocol is encrypted using TLS 1.2. Kasi ang TLS 1.2 has a higher encryption, no, compared dun sa mga HTTPS and so on. So bakit natin kailangan ng higher encryption? Kasi ganito yan. When you purchase flight or tickets sa Cebu Pacific Air, you will be encoding your credit card. Lalagay yung first name, last name, credit card number, expiration, plus yung tatlong CVC na nasa likod. If you're using 1.0, hindi accept ng any Microsoft yun, kahit PowerShell. Kasi hindi yun secure. And it's proven na nahahack ang 1.0. No? So if you want to test yung ganong connectivity, sa ethical hacking namin dinidiscuss yan. No? So as much as possible, TLS 1.2. Okay? Bakit may 1.0? Yung mga application developed in an old TLS, no, they need to communicate. Kaya kailangan nila 1.0. No? Pero pag nag 1.0 ka, talaga no access. Tapos hindi accessible sa public. No? Since this one will be accessible via internet lang, 1.2. So unsecured. No? Pero encrypt niya, secure niya, okay? Enable Azure Defender for SQL. So ito yung Defender niya. It's a unified security package for surfacing and mitigating potential database vulnerabilities. So kung if you want to secure more, start this one. No? So there's a payment of $15 per month per server. Ito considered as one server. So pag tumakbo itong 30 days, pabayaran mo na yung $15. Na. So not now. What else? Default. Additional data settings. Now, for demo's sake, gusto kong may laman yung database. So you can be able to see yung database natin. So magdadump ako ng mga sample database taken from AdventureWorks LT, which is a sample nga lang. Okay. And collation sequence. Remember, if you're a database admin, ang collation dapat pareho. SQL Latin 1. Okay. If you're using different collation, no, you won't be able to open the database. Okay. So kailangan pareho. No? Well, we're using SQL to SQL, so no problem. Okay. Next tag. Okay, so review and create. Yan. So may bayad na to ha. Ingat. Kailangan i-delete nyo to later on. So let's review. Ayan, SQL collation matches the SQL collation. Meron siyang 250 gigabyte, which is enough. So I click create. So it will create. So this one will take a while, no? Kasi it will allocate a SQL database instance. Okay, plus it will export the sample databases. Okay, that's done. Let's go to resource. So this is our database sitting on the same resource group running in East US and hosted in a portion of Windows 2019 using B2S. And this is the public IP address. Okay, so we can access the database. So if you lost, let's say from the Blade SQL database, makikita nyo dito yung ay, saan yung database ko? Refresh. Nasa server 1. So gumamit tayo ng isang server. Okay. So let's go to database, the SQL. So SQL refresh. Okay. Bakit di ko makita yung SQL?
Deployment in progress pa, sir.
Oo nga, no? Nalito ako dito. It created a server, but still deploying the database. Okay, good, good. Thank you. Yan, tayo natin. Kaya pala, sabi ko, ba't wala pa dito? So, yan. Hindi ko na-notice na. Let's wait.
Sir, yung sa mga data po na isa-send nyo sa amin, may practice exam po ba yun?
Practice exam. Yeah, meron tayong assessment. So, ito yung assessment. I'm gonna be sending you a practice exam. Saan na ba yan? So, meron kayong reviewers. So, I'm gonna be sending the reviewers. Yan. So, you will have the slides. You will have the study guides. So, meron kayong book. This is the one I'm using. It's current as of 2021. This is very comprehensive, created by Cybex. So this is the exact book we're gonna use. This is the book I used before I took the exam. 257 pages. Okay, very complete to. So lahat ng discussion ko is in here. Okay, this pattern here. So if you would like to review ano ba yung mga core services, solution, andito lahat siya. What definition of terms, how to become certified in Azure. Ang exam type is drag and drop. Meron ding yes, no question, text replacement, multiple choice. Okay, then taking the exam, we're gonna book you. So I think module 1 natin, cloud concept. Module 2, core services. Next one, core networking, database, and so on. So ito yan. So ito yung examination then. Ano yung IAS, PAAS. Okay, so if you read the book, I would suggest na mag-take kayo ng practice exam. Ito na yan. So assessment test, tatanungin ka. Azure enables your org to move IT and the expenditures to saan? Anybody? Di ba wala na tong capital expense? Kasi wala nang investment. Oo. OPEX ka kagad. Pay as you go. Operational agad. Di ba? So nawala yung CAPEX. Now to verify if you have the correct answer, nasa dulo lang yung answer. Okay? So yan na yan. So practice exam yan. Per module. So yan yung first module. Ang dami niyan, dami niyan. So daanan niya yan. Imposible nga. Ang dami niya, no? More than 62.67. And this is the answer, letter B. Consumption model. Okay? Tama tayo. Huh? So may answer then to validate. So before taking the exam, i-exam nyo muna sarili nyo using the 67 question. And that's only a pre-validation. Okay? Punta na kayo sa cloud concept. So nandito yung mga diniscuss ko. Huh? Nandito lahat ng diniscuss. Fault tolerant, disaster recovery, platform as a service. How do you create a web app? Nag-create akong web app kanina, remember? Ano yung mga shared responsibility model? This is the one I discussed, remember? Private, blah, blah, blah. Dami. Dami niyan. So, bibigay ko yan later on. And then you have 4 reviewers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sa isang reviewer, meron kang napakadaming question. This came from kanina exam boost. Yeah, exam boost. So you don't need to purchase. This is the exact question na lalabas sa examination. And hindi lang ito maganda. It will not only give you an answer but a very accurate answer. Kasi let's say ito yung question. Question, bakit A, diba? So ito yung reference. Nandito yung answers. It's not a simple brain dump na walang basis. So this is the basis. Okay? So may mga basis sila. So ang daming reviewer, not only one. Ang dami. May mga basis yan. May mga links. To make sure it's 100% correct. Kaya imposible yung bumagsak ka. Kung babagsak ka, hindi mo inaral to. Okay? Imposible yung unless na hindi ka nag-review, babagsak ka talaga. So you have to read this. Sige, go ahead.
Clarify ko lang kasi may 700 sabi ng boss ko kasi bawal daw yung maingay kaya hindi ko pa siya pinaplat.
Sorry, Chappy, hindi ko marinig.
Sorry po. Ibig ko pong sabihin, yung may proctor po dun sa pag sa bahay ka nag-exam sa kwarto mo, okay lang po ba medyo maingay?
Hindi pwede.
Hindi na bawal, no, sir? No?
Bawal,
Kasi
oo,
yun
bawal.
yung sabi ng boss ko kaya kailangan talaga sa training center kung maaari or kaya sa place talaga na walang maingay. Kasi akala ko pag may proctor na naka-video ka, parang dalawa yung type, 'di ba, sir? Pwedeng wala kang video, pero yung sound niya dapat hindi maingay. Or naka-video ka na talaga pag may proctor.
Kung maingay, patayin mo lang yung mic.
Yun nga, sir. Yun din
Patay,
po
okay na yun.
Kino-confirm ko lang po.
Ah.
Okay. Sige, sir.
Yeah,
Salamat.
off mo lang yung mic. Ganun lang yan. Okay, so ang daming reviewer.
Sir,
and
question lang,
plus
sir.
slides. Yes, go ahead.
Pag nag-exam ba, sir, may naka-on yung cam na, para makita ng proctor, sir?
Oo, nung nag-exam ako, naka-on yung cam eh.
Okay, sir.
Kahit sa center namin, dati meron kaming testing center, naka-on yung cam. Pero wala naman nag-check. Wala naman nag-check. Kasi nalaman ko, hindi pala namin na-on yung CCTV namin. So nag-exam, pasado siya. So ganun lang. Pero dito hindi pwede cheating kasi sa bahay eh. Hindi center eh. Well, wala naman mag-cheat. Sino ba mag-cheat? Okay. So ito na. So, tapos na. Meron na tayong database server cruise. So we have our first database. Yun, lumabas na rin. So click on the database. Sabay-sabay tayo. Lahat tayo. No? Query natin to. I wanna investigate. Ano ba laman ng database? So click the database and then query editor. Okay. Query natin yung editor. Yan ang database natin. Nakita mo, 2% utilization. No? Kita mo, may copy. Merong, you can export the database. You can set the server file. Ito yung utilization. No? Okay. Kita mo ito. Connection, string. Tapos yung compute na ginamit natin. Okay, security center. Dami. And if you want a JSON JavaScript on notation, pwede rin siya. If you want to connect with using Data Studio or Visual Studio, you can do so. Okay. Tapos query editor, preview natin. Sige, select nyo yan. Query editor, QU. And then we're gonna log in. Talagang live Papasok na tayo. Tingnan natin. Ano ba laman ng database? Okay. Logging in. Yan, sabi, cannot open, blah, 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 is not allowed. Okay? So, bakit? Kasi hindi pa natin na-open yung firewall. Okay? So, ito na. Live na tayo. Open natin yung firewall. So, punta kayo ng overview. So, tino, sir, ba't di makakonect? Siyempre, secure yan. Secure. Punta na overview. Hanapin mo yung firewall. Overview. No? Set server firewall. Hanapin mo. So, since dito yan. So, kung di mo makita, ayun lang siya. Set server firewall. Allow na natin. No? So, allow natin yung IP ko. Kasi public to, di ba? So, add client IP. So, ayan. TLS 1.2, default. Yes, role name. Allow Chris IP. So, paano ko malalaman yung IP ko? Is it public or private? Question. What's my IP? Secure talaga to. So, ito yung IP ko. Ito yung public. This is the public. Okay. Let's save. Nilagay ko lang yung public ko. Tingnan natin kung makakonect ako. Okay? So, this is allowed na.
Sir, saan mo nakuha yung rule name, sir?
Dito lang. Nasa database ka, di ba?
Rule name. Okay.
Set server firewall. So, you need to allow your IP address to the firewall. Lagay mo lang yung IP address mo. Tapos, click back. Tingnan natin kung makakonect tayo. Saan yung database ko nawala? So, SQL, database 1. And then, if you wanna connect, you have to type SU. QU, query editor. Okay? Query editor mo. Kukonect uli ako. Kanina, di ba hindi? Okay. Oh, pasok. Inallow ko yung IP. So that's how secure. So sa question exam, when you provide DB admin plus password, will you be able to connect? Hindi. Anong sagot doon? You need to set the firewall to allow your public IP to access the database. Kasi secure to eh. Okay? Hindi tayo makakonect kanina, di ba? Kasi hindi ko inallow sa firewall. So dito, since database admin ako, I can be able to see pretty much everything like in table, views, stored procedure, lahat. Root account, database admin. Kita mo lahat. Okay?
Try nyo nga, sir, mag-select ng table, sir.
Okay, so select tayo. Select. So, select tayo. Top 20. Top 20. Ngayon, anong mga tables to? Pili tayo yung table na isa. Which is PC name. Available PC name. PC.name as category p.name yung name nila dun sa table na product. Pero parang wala akong nakikita ang product name. Meron bang product name yan? No? So select yan. From where? Pero hindi na trabaho to. Database admin na to. From demo lang to. Sales LT. Ayun, meron. Sales LT dot product. Hanapin mo yung product. Yeah. Okay. PC. Product PC. Naku, haba. Ba't humaba? Sales LT. No? Then join sales LT dot product. Product P. Saan mo select? On PC dot product. On PC dot product category. Ayun, category is equal P dot product category ID. Walang ID. Product category. Ba't walang ID? Description na nga. Walang magra-run to. Run natin. Failed. So may missing siya. Pero as far as the testing database connectivity is concerned, we have connected. Connected tayo. Okay, query. Wala na sa exam yan. Hindi na sa amin.
Sir, question lang.
Sige, go ahead.
Saan nyo nakita yung IP address kanina dun sa nag-allow?
What's my IP? Type mo lang, what's my IP? Pas lumabas na yung IP ka.
Sir, clarification lang. Akala ko yung resource account, yung ginamit natin dun sa database na server, yung server na kinirate natin.
Sorry, choppy. Ano yan?
Sir, akala ko po yung ginamit natin server po dyan sa database natin. Parang lumalabas po dyan na sa PC nyo, yung PC po na IP yung kinuhanan nyo po ng para ma-enable po yung firewall. Gusto ko lang pong...
We only allow access to the database. Sa database lang to. So, yung setting of server firewall, is to allow access to this one. So we allowed yung IP address ng PC ko, ng laptop ko, para
Okay.
ma-access.
Okay, gets.
Inassign ko lang yung laptop ko. Ayan. Dito sa bahay ko. Okay. So, let's say 100 database admin. So, well, actually, ang dapat may access dito sa database is only DBA, not system engineer, not anyone else. Mga ano lang talaga, mga DBA lang talaga. So, yun lang ina-allow dito. Wala nang iba. No? And in the first place, dapat hindi na-access using public internet, kundi naka-VPN ka pa rin. Ayan, so ito demo lang. Pwede rin yan kung di naman ganun kasing sensitive yung data na na-access niya. Na. Pero if you're gonna be working in a government, hindi allowed to. Hindi allowed yan. No, so you have to be sitting on the same subnet as the data, as a resource, the whole resources. No? So dapat nasa 10.2 ka nakaupo. Okay. Okay, any question? Any question about database? Yeah, so successful in creation ng database and we were able to pull the database table.
Question lang, sir.
Yeah,
Yung
go ahead.
kanina, di ba, inallow mo yung firewall. So, kapag magdi-disconnect ka, i-off mo ulit yun. Palagi, sir.
Yes, correct. Tama ka. Sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, pero since di-delete ko naman siya, so no need na. No need na. Okay, yan na yung database natin. Okay, so hanggang dyan lang ang ating module 2. Haba, no? Haba ng module 2. Any question about module 2? So yan ang walkthrough. So we were able to create a SQL database and query the database. Okay. Ano pa ba?
Sir Chris, may question ako.
Go ahead.
Pwede ba yan, sir, sa parang accessible ba yan sa on-prem na applications?
Oo. Let's say nasa office kayo. I just allowed my IP and you should be able to connect to the database.
So, ipapublic namin siya, sir,
Kung naka-public ka.
kung hindi lang isang user ang needs ng access.
Kung multiple user, I would suggest they should be sitting on a jump server. Nasa 10.2 siya. So, ibig sabihin, pag nasa 10.2 siya, nandito siya sa server na ginawa natin kanina. Dapat dito. Diba nagawa tayong server kanina na nasa 10.2? So, dapat dito ka lang mag-access. So, RDP ka dyan, and then magra-run ka ng Azure. So, dito ka na magla-login. Kung multiple database admin na, dito ka na magpo-portal. Hindi pwede sa laptop mo. Kasi hindi natin alam anong security meron tong ISP ko. Di ba? Naka-ISP lang ako eh. Di ba? With this one, nasa loob ka na mismo ng private cloud.
Assuming, sir, na yung apps nasa on-prem talaga.
On-prem?
Yes.
Wala. Yun ang only way. Or, gawa ka ng VPN to connect dito sa public cloud niya. Yan. So, dito ka dapat magagawa ng database. Lalaging ka dyan mano-mano. Okay? Or, another one is through Cloud CLI. Ito private to. Hindi, actually public din to eh. No? Cloud CLI. Yeah. So, dito makikita yung mga VM mo. So, if you would like to check, pwede ka na dito, rekta na kagad. Ano ba yung mga VM mo? Get, Azure VM. Yan. So, merong isa, di ba? Ayan, mga resource group ko. Ito yung dalawang server ko. Ayan. Okay. Okay, I hope I answer your question. Any more question? Meron pa pala tayong topic. Next one is Azure Marketplace. Marketplace allows customer to find, try, purchase, and provision apps and services from hundreds of leading service provider. No? Meron ditong open source container, may VM na meron ng SQL database. And build application, and napakadaming developers such as Docker, container, Kubernetes, dami. With more than 10,000 listings. No? So, ito yun. Sa marketplace. Kung gusto yung bumili na lang, mag-lease, punta lang kayo marketplace. No? Mag-grocery kayo dito. Sa create a resource, ito na yung marketplace. Close ko na nga yan. Ayan yan. Marketplace. See more. Yan. So since we want a server na meron ng database, hanapin yung server na may database na. Okay, so the fastest way is SQL. Type mo SQL agad. Azure SQL Server on Linux. Okay, ready-made na yan. So yan. So meron ka ng say Linux, meron ka ng SQL Server. Okay. Or kung gusto mong Windows hosted, type mo lang yung Windows Server. Tapos you will be presented with multiple server. Anong gusto mong server? This one with multiple minimal. Asan yung minimal? Probably 10 gig lang yan. Kaya 36, 3 cents lang. Kung gusto yung mga server na meron ng web server, yes, ready-made yan. Okay. How about database? Yan, SQL database on Azure. If you want Postgres, so click nyo lang yan. Same configuration as I demonstrated. So napakadaming available instances na and services. Okay, so now let's check. Let's see if we learned something. So which of the following can be used to manage governance across multiple Azure subscription? Anybody? Governance. So meaning ano ba yung governance? So yung
Management groups.
tama, ang galing. Yan ang Nexus. Okay. Students, meron ng papasa sa examination. Ito yung keyword, manage. Di ba? Who's the one? Manage. Ito yung sagot, management groups. Napakadali. No? So, ganun yung examination in person view. He will give you a hint, which is talagang hindi lang synonyms, no? Hindi lang synonyms, kundi something closer to the question they're asking. Next one is, which of the following is a logical unit of Azure? Ito, nag-exam na tayo. Sir, may review ba? Ito na review natin. Nagre-review na tayo. Which of the following is a logical unit in Azure service that links to account? So, tawag dito, Azure account. Ano sagot dito? Azure account.
Azure subscription.
Tama. Kasi yun, hindi. Dahil ito yung Azure account, paano ba mag-create na Azure account? Kailangan may subscription ka, di ba? Okay, tama yan, tama. Next one, which of the following features does not apply? Teka, parang sinagutan na natin to kanina. Nested, di ba? Does not apply. Parang naulit lang yan. Which of the following statement is valid statement about Azure? An Azure service is a logical.
Yan yung kanina, sir.
Ito yung kanini.
Oo.
Kanina. Pareho lang pala. No? Okay, so yan. Ang dami nating 3 hours yata itong module 2 na to. No? Almost nandun na lahat eh. Compute, VM. Nag-create tayo ng sariling VM. Networking, we created our own VNet. Storage, we created our own blob. And I uploaded HTML. And we were able to access index HTML. And then nag-upload pa ako ng picture ni, sino ba yung in-upload ko?
Iba na, sir.
Si Ibana. Si Idol Ibana in-upload. Nakita natin talagang URL lang. Accessible na. No? So that's a proof of concept na it's working. I have a storage. Let's say sabihin mo sa customer mo, I can give you 500 gig storage right now and can be accessed publicly. Okay? So that's a proof of concept. Kasi may bidding kayo sa government. Gusto kong 10 terabyte. Now na. Okay? Now na. So provision ka kaagad ng blob. Ayan na. Meron ka ng proof of concept. Pag nanalo ka, di ba? Meron ka ng 8 billion parang formally. Nag-bidding in the morning. In the afternoon, na-deliver na yung product. Bilis. And then database. Proof of concept na database is secure. I was able to demonstrate na you're the only one who can access, the one with that IP address. Okay? So klaro meron hindi lang tayo fundamentals, but we have a proven proof of concept that it's working, no? Yung mga services natin. Okay, so that ends module 2. We're gonna move to module 3, pero toilet break muna tayo ng 5 minutes. Okay? So let's meet after 5 minutes. Now I have to exit kasi I have to end tong Zoom. Okay, so meet you later in 5 minutes. Any question? Do you have a question? Wala. Okay, end.